On this day, we decided to take a trip to Finca El Mate at the base of Volcan de Pacaya in Guatemala. We also planned a side trip to drop off some donations to a family we met in El Paredon. We left Antigua and drove towards the west coast of Guatemala. At one point, we missed a turn and ended up in Cipicate instead of El Paredon. We were faced with either backtracking the highway for over an hour or taking a 20-minute boat ride. I can't think of anyone who would skip this opportunity. While in El Paredon, we dropped off the donations and enjoyed the ocean view while eating fish tacos. After being stuck in a house for over 5 months during lockdowns, we couldn't wait to go camping. So we hit the highway once more towards Finca El Mate. Once we entered the city of Escuintla, we were faced with another decision. We could take one of the surrounding highways, or we could take the direct route. We ended up taking the direct route, thinking it was the most scenic. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? We called the owner of the finca and advised him we'd be there in 2 hours.
Sometimes things happen beyond your control, as if they have a life of their own. The choices you make, what appears to be right, seems you just have no say. As if you're a witness to your own mistakes, it's easy to play along. After you see what the choices came to be, like a storm that's passed on.
This obviously wasn't the typical dirt road that we were anticipating. About a quarter of the way in, the route disappeared off of Google Maps. Literally just dropped off the screen as we were driving it. Quickly realized that we were now crossing a series of private farms in remote Guatemala. As we approached the first gate, we thought it was a dead end. But there was no lock in the gate, and we had already driven an hour, so we decided to just push on. Slower, huh?
Let's not take it.
No. Look at this. A legit gate. I think that wasn't closed. Setting up camp right there. This area was very beautiful, but we were a little on edge once our fuel level dropped past a point of no return. These are obviously just snippets of what we had to endure on this road. We lost track of how many fences we had to cross. I guesstimate around 10.
Sometimes things happen beyond your control, as if they have a life of their own. Choices you make, what appears to be right, seems you just have no say.
The most interesting part were the stream crossings and the extremely steep hills and rocky sections. We left out the steep hills and rocky sections because we had to approach them so slowly it just didn't look good on video. At this point, our cellular GPS failed completely. We still had our Garmin unit, but the trails in these farms were not on the mapping program. The sun was setting and we were officially lost. We were coming to the realization that we may have to spend the night out here. We started to keep our eyes open for places to camp. Well, we explored the farms. Found your farmland, babe. The sun set, our GoPro died, and we still hadn't found a place to camp. Just then, 4 farmers in an old Toyota pickup filled with sacks of coffee beans showed up. We told them we were looking for Finca El Mate, and they offered to lead us there. We set off on a 45-minute drive, where we experienced steep hill climbs, multiple stream crossings, and seriously rocky sections. But now we were driving in the pitch-black darkness of night. The road forked so many times there was no way we were going to find our way out without these farmers. We eventually came to a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. One of the guys hopped into our car and led us right to the finca, where we set up this campsite. It felt so nice to finally be able to relax and watch the glow from the volcano. Next morning we woke to the view of Pacaya from our tent. We spent the next day exploring the area. From this spot we could see 3 volcanoes, 2 of them were active. Looking back, we realized that all our best stories come from the times we allowed ourselves to get lost. We've also noticed that if you plan too much, you never get to meet people like the farmers that we met on this trip. Little did we know the best part was yet to come. When driving back towards Antigua, something didn't feel right. Even though it was night, we decided that we had to get a closer look at the lava. So we drove halfway up the side of the volcano and met a guy who would escort us to the top. Once again, with no plans and no expectations, we ended up roasting marshmallows over lava that night. But that's a whole different story. It deserves its own video.